Okay, so if you've ever wondered how to do the long tail cast on, that's what this video will show you what to do. And it's super simple. So you just need a ball of yarn, needles, and that's it. It's called the long tail cast on method because you need a very long tail. So a tail is just the end of your yarn. And with the long tail, you kind of have to estimate how much yarn you're going to need in the tail in order to cast on all of your stitches. So that means you have to pull out like a really long tail to accommodate for all of those stitches. So you're kind of guessing. And a good rule of thumb is for every one stitch that you're casting on, you want to kind of pull out about an inch or a little bit more, an inch and a half or so of yarn. So if you're casting on 24 stitches, you would want about 24 to 25-ish inches of yarn. So I've got my long tail here because I'm not really casting on for anything in particular. I'm just demonstrating this. And then to start, you're gonna make a slip knot. So to make a slip knot, this is the tail end of the yarn. This is the end connected to my working ball of yarn. You're going to hold the tail in your left hand, use your right hand, wrap the yarn around twice. So you have one strand on the front of your hand, two on the back. And then you're gonna pull up this strand, and as you do, use your thumb to kind of hook that yarn through the loop, and that's the yarn coming off the ball. And then you just take your fingers out, and then you've made a slip knot. So you're gonna start with that slip knot, and you're gonna place the slip knot on your needle, and then just pull the two strands away from each other in order to tighten the slip knot. Okay, so the order of the strands as they hang down is actually kind of important with the long tail method. So this is my tail end, and it's in front. So when I'm looking at the knot, the strand of yarn that is the tail is in front. The strand of yarn that's connected to the working ball is behind. Okay, so now we're actually gonna do the cast on. So I'm holding my needle in my right hand, and then with my left hand, I'm going to use my first finger and my thumb to separate these two strands away from each other. Then I'm going to use my pinky ring and middle fingers to grab those two strands of yarn. So I've got my thumb and my first finger right here, pulling those away and kind of almost making like a diamond shape. And then the rest of my fingers are holding on to the yarn strands together, securing them in place. And you kind of want this to be taut. So there should be some tension here in the yarn. It shouldn't be like loose or anything like that, because that's not gonna work. So you need those kind of pulled away from each other. Now, you're gonna turn your hand, and when you do, you can see it kind of ends up creating like two strands here around your thumb, even though it's actually only one. It's just turned, but it looks like two. So then you're gonna take the lower one and lift it up with your needle, and then turn your hand back again so it looks like this. Bring the needle through the loop. Do you see how there's kind of like an opening or a loop that is being created around the strand that's on your first finger? You're gonna put the needle through that, and then take your thumb loop over the needle, and then take your thumb out of the loop and then pull it close. Okay, I'm gonna show that one more time. So going through it one more time, you've got your thumb and your first finger pulling apart the two strands, which the front strand is the tail, the back strand is the yarn ball. You're going to turn your hand, so your thumb is actually pointing up, your first finger is pointing straight ahead. And then when you kind of move it forward, the needle, it sort of creates that shape. You're going to put the needle under the front strand. Then you're gonna turn your hand back again, put the needle around through the loop that's being created around the strand on your first finger. And then you just take the first finger, or the thumb, excuse me, out of the loop. One more time. So we've got the two strands coming away from each other, holding them with our fingers, turning our hand, grabbing the front strand with the needle, putting the needle under the strand around your first finger, moving your thumb over that needle, taking your thumb out of the loop, and then using the first finger and thumb to tighten that stitch up. One more time. Turn your hand so your thumb is up and your first finger is pointing out. grab the strand in front of you with your needle, lift it up, turn your hand, put your needle under the strand around your first finger, bring your thumb loop over top of the needle, take your thumb out of the loop, and then tighten it up with your first finger and your thumb. And that is how you do the long tail cast on method.